There's a plant growing in the cracks of your driveway right now that contains 15 times more calcium than spinach, 8 times more vitamin C than oranges, and more protein per ounce than beef. For 8,500 years, it's sustained entire civilizations from the Great Lakes to the Mediterranean. People didn't just gather it, they bred it like wheat, selected seeds generation after generation, stored them in clay jars for winter, and ground them into flour that lasted through famines. Then we made it illegal. We created a $74 billion industry dedicated to poisoning it out of existence. We convinced millions that this plant, offering more nutrition than almost anything in the grocery store, is their enemy. We erased its name so completely that most Americans under 40 have never heard it, even though they've been looking at it their entire lives. This is the story of the most nutritious weed in America and the system that cannot afford to let you remember what it is. If you're ready to reclaim lost knowledge, subscribe to Lost Garden. Hit that notification bell. This story changes everything. The vault opens in 1987. Deep in the Ozark Plateaus of eastern Kentucky, archaeologists excavated ancient rock shelters sealed for thousands of years. Inside, they found storage pits, carefully constructed, deliberately placed. Carbon dating revealed the contents were from 6,500 BC, over 8,000 years old. But the age wasn't what stopped everyone. It was what was inside. Seeds, thousands of them, carbonized and preserved, stored alongside squash and sunflower. This was food storage, deliberate agriculture. The seeds were identified as Chenopodium berlanderii, Native American lamb's quarters. By 1700 BC, it was fully domesticated as part of the Eastern Agricultural Complex, a sophisticated system supporting populations across eastern North America for over 3,000 years, long before maize arrived from the south. Under microscopes, scientists discovered something revealing. The domesticated seed coats measured only 20 microns thick. Wild seeds were 60 microns, 3 times thicker. Thin seed coats mean faster germination and quicker growth, more crops per season. Someone had been selecting these seeds year after year, generation after generation. This was agricultural science happening in North America thousands of years before Columbus. The Ohio River Basin, Kentucky rock shelters, Tennessee caves, everywhere archaeologists looked, they found Chenopodium seeds stored with other grains, treated with the same care as any staple crop. Comment below if you've ever seen this plant growing wild. Most of you have. You just didn't know what it was. In 2014, European researchers found the same thing. Viking Age sites in Denmark, Roman settlements across Central Europe, Iron Age storage pits in Germany and France all contained Chenopodium album seeds stored with wheat and barley. Then came the discovery that made headlines: Danish bog bodies. Iron Age people preserved in peat for 2,000 years had Chenopodium seeds in their stomachs, their last meals. This wasn't famine food. This wasn't desperation. This was regular food eaten by regular people across 8,500 years of human history. The Zuni cooked the young greens. The Iroquois harvested it every summer. In India, they call it batwa. You can still buy it in markets today as a premium winter vegetable. In China, they call the cousin species hui chai and never stopped cultivating it. The knowledge was global. The cultivation was deliberate. The nutrition was understood long before laboratories could measure it. So how does a plant this important just disappear from American consciousness? By 1150 AD, maize had arrived in eastern North America, spreading north from Mesoamerica. It was calorie-dense, easier to store, and fit the model European colonizers would later bring. The Eastern agricultural conflicts collapsed within generations. Lamb's quarters, amaranth, little barley, knotweed, crops that sustained civilizations for 3,000 years faded into obscurity. The native domesticated variety, carefully bred for 3 millennia, went extinct, gone forever. European settlers brought their own Chenopodium album across the Atlantic. They knew it as fat hen, pigweed, goosefoot. Peasants ate it during famines, fed it to livestock, used it as medicine. But by then, agriculture meant wheat, corn, cash crops, things you could tax, things you could sell, things you could control. The plant survived anyway, growing in ditches and disturbed soil. It didn't need permission. That was always its strength. Then came 1950, and everything changed. Post-war America. The GI Bill finances millions of new homes. Suburbs explode, and with them comes a new ideology, the perfect lawn. Grass uniform and green, with absolutely no weeds. Construction creates disturbed soil everywhere, perfect conditions for lamb's quarters, which colonizes bare ground faster than almost anything. Suddenly, every suburban yard has it growing. Homeowners panic. Chemical companies saw opportunity. In 1947, the Scotch Company began mass marketing herbicides to American homeowners. The active ingredient was 2,4-D, developed during World War II as part of biological warfare research. After the war, chemical companies needed new markets for these weapons. American lawns became the battlefield. By the 1960s, homeowners associations wrote bylaws prohibiting noxious weeds, listing lamb's quarters by name. You could be fined for allowing food to grow on property you own. Agriculture followed the same pattern. Lamb's quarters competes with soybeans and corn, the most heavily subsidized crops in America. The herbicide industry exploded into a $40 billion global market. Weed control added another $34 billion. We're spending $74 billion annually to destroy plants, with lamb's quarters as target number 1. Share this video with someone who's been buying expensive leafy greens at the grocery store. They need to see this. Meanwhile, the leafy greens market grew into a $95 billion industry. Spinach, kale, lettuce, trucked from California's Central Valley, irrigated with increasingly scarce water, packaged in plastic, shipped thousands of miles. And lamb's quarters, offering the same nutrition, grows free in every crack in the pavement. Let me tell you what's actually in this plant, because the results are stunning. 464 milligrams of calcium per cup. Spinach contains 30. That's 15 times more. 66 milligrams of vitamin C compared to spinach at 8. More iron, more protein, more B vitamins than spinach or cabbage. 741% of your daily vitamin K requirement in 1 cup. The vitamins sold in supplements for $20 a bottle. Michael Pollan, who wrote The Omnivore's Dilemma, called lamb's quarters and purslane 2 of the most nutritious plants in the world. Not vegetables, plants, period. The Tohono O'odham cultivated it for thousands of years without laboratories. European peasants knew chickens grew fat on it. People have always known this plant was extraordinary. Drop a seedling in the comments if you're ready to start growing your own food security. But here's what you cannot do with it. You cannot patent it. You cannot genetically modify it to depend on specific fertilizers. You cannot control its seeds. Each plant drops 75,000 seeds that remain viable for 40 years. Cut it into pieces and every fragment roots. It heals depleted soil. It grows without water. It tolerates extremes. It asks for nothing. In a food system built on scarcity and control, a plant like that is more dangerous than any pest. Because lamb's quarters threatens everything: the leafy greens industry, the calcium supplement market, the vitamin industries, all depend on people believing they need to buy things when a plant in their driveway offers it for free. More than that, it threatens the fundamental logic of modern agriculture, the idea that food must be difficult, must require inputs, must be controlled by corporations selling seeds every year, fertilizers every season, pesticides to kill everything that grows without permission. Lamb's quarters grows without permission. It heals soil instead of depleting it. It feeds people without asking anything in return. That kind of abundance, free, uncontrollable, available to anyone, cannot exist in a system built on scarcity. So the plant was erased, not with fire or war, but with language. We called it a weed, a pest, a problem. We created an entire vocabulary around its destruction and convinced 3 generations that this plant is their enemy. If this opened your eyes, hit that like button. Every like helps break through the algorithm that doesn't want you seeing this. Most Americans under 40 have seen it their entire lives, but have no name for it. When you erase the name, you erase the knowledge. When you erase the knowledge, you erase the power. But here's what they couldn't erase: the plant itself. While Americans forgot, the rest of the world kept eating. In India, bathua is sold in every winter market. Not famine food, but premium food. In China, wei chai is still cultivated. In Mexico, quelites, wild greens, including lamb's quarters, never left the diet. What happened in America was cultural genocide, but it was incomplete. Immigrant families brought the knowledge with them. Italian grandmothers remembered fat hen. Mexican families knew verdolagas. Indigenous communities never stopped gathering traditional foods. The knowledge survived in fragments, passed down in whispers, waiting for the moment when people would need it again. That moment is now. Lettuce requires consistent irrigation. Spinach needs cool temperatures and steady moisture. The crops feeding 8 billion people were bred for stability, for weather patterns that no longer exist. Lamb's quarters was built for chaos. It survives on nothing. It thrives in heat. It grows in degraded soil where nothing else will. It doesn't need irrigation or controlled environments. For 70 years, we spent billions poisoning the plant that could save us. Now, as systems fail, the answer has been waiting in every crack, every disturbed patch of soil, every place we told it not to grow. Subscribe to Lost Lore Garden if you want more forgotten knowledge like this. We're building a community that remembers what the system tried to erase. Here's what you do. Learn to recognize it. Diamond-shaped leaves with a powdery white coating and a goosefoot shape when young. Stop poisoning it. Let it grow. Let it heal your soil while it feeds you. Harvest the top few inches, the tender stems and young leaves. Cook them like spinach. The heat breaks down the oxalic acid naturally present. Once cooked, eat as much as you want. Save seeds. Each plant produces 75,000 seeds that last 40 years in soil. Share them. Teach your children. Reclaim the name that was taken. The plant that asks for nothing, survives everything, and feeds freely. That's lamb's quarters. The crop they tried to erase, the knowledge they spent billions suppressing, the food they taught you to destroy. Turn on notifications for Lost Lore Garden. The next vault opens soon, and you won't want to miss it. This knowledge isn't lost, it's buried in every seed, waiting for the hands willing to harvest it. Drop a comment telling me, will you let it grow or keep poisoning it? Your answer might surprise you. If this vault opened something for you, like this video and share it with 3 people who need to see it. Every share preserves what they tried to erase. The revolution starts in your driveway. Let's grow it together.